Hello everyone, this is the second in the series of Kiddush Levana on Motzei Tisha B'Av, especially on a year where it comes out on Thursday. All you have to do is push it off 2 days, Motzei Shabbos. You already ate all day, you probably shaved, not to mention the fact you're wearing your Shabbos best. Why not push it off like the RAMA says? Why is it that most people don't? And in my opinion, the answer is given to us by many poskim, amongst them the Chida. Chida Rav Chaim David Yosef Azulai said you should say Kiddush Levana right after Tisha B'Av, and he gives a reason. לבשר השכינה מכונן ללבנה ולישראל, דאף שנכרב הבית בגלו, הרי הם עתידין להתחדש כמותה ומלכותו בכל משלה. He comes and says that Tisha B'Av is a day that is not just mourning for the past, but it's looking forward to the future. And what more appropriate thing to say after Tisha B'Av than to come before God and say, God, we would like to have David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam, a Malchut Beit David, the Davidic line of kingship back in Jerusalem. We want to be close to you again as we were coming to the Beit HaMikdash 3 times a year. So what more appropriate thing to say right after Tisha B'Av then? It's not enough to mourn for the past. We're looking forward to the future. This brings us to a famous medrash that's known in many different languages as Mashiach nolad b'Tisha B'Av u'menachem shmo. That on Tisha B'Av Mashiach was born and his name is Comforter. Now that medrash is written, it's recorded, mostly in Aramaic. However, not everyone agreed with such a medrash. For example, the Ramban in one of his disputations indeed says to the person disputing him, saying, hey, it says Mashiach was born, so maybe we should believe that Jesus is Mashiach. He says, with due respect, I don't agree with this. Eini ma'amin b'haggadah zu klal. And number 2, not only doesn't he believe it, but he says, even if it's true, it must mean something else, not to mention your timing's off. The second Beis HaMikdash was destroyed after Oto Ha'ish was no longer alive. However, many have said that this medrash is correct. And if this medrash is correct, now you understand why there's a machlokas. According to the Rama, maybe Mashiach wasn't born on Tisha B'Av. It's only a day of mourning, and therefore, it's not appropriate to say Kiddush Levana right afterwards. But those that say that Tisha B'Av is not just a day to mourn for the past, but to look forward to the future, probably agree with this medrash and say, yes, we on the one hand sit on the floor until midday, but then we get up and start saying, Nachem, comfort us. And what more appropriate thing to say after Tisha B'Av? Then we would like to greet you again, God, as we did in the Beis HaMikdash, as we say in the Kiddush Levana, Kol HaMekabel, Pam Achad B'Chodesh Dayam, once a month the Jewish people would Mekabel Pnei Shechina, that would be enough. So what more appropriate thing to say on Motzei Tisha B'Av than those very words? Indeed, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, in a letter, said that Dafka, you should say Kiddush Levana after Tisha B'Av, because this is a great time for the Jewish people to gain hope for the future. And from this perspective, you can well understand the words of the Chida. After Ma'ariv, he says, put on your leather shoes, and come out, shehuzman ara'ui levasera geula, ulevarecha levana elyon velomar, David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam. We have a country, and it's in the land of Israel. We have a Jewish government. Is everything perfect? No. Therefore, we're still fasting on Tisha B'Av. Did we gain nothing? No one can say that. Baruch Hashem, the medrash that says, B'shlosha dvarim, Hematidim limos. There's 3 things that the Jewish people are going to come along and not want anymore. Malchut Shamayim, Malchut Beit David, Ubinyan Beis HaMikdash. They won't want the temple, they won't want the Davidic line, and they won't want the kingship of God. The Medrash continues and says, when will this change? Until they ask for all 3. And indeed, the Mitzudat David says on the Pasuk, Uvikashtem Tashem אלו-הי-הם ואת David Malkamot, we say in Kiddush Levana, that first of all, Achar Yashuvu B'nei Israel, first we'll come back to the land, Hel Artzam, V'az Yivakshu et Hashem L'Shlom Mimenu Tzorkam, and then they'll ask for God. We're back in the land, and now we're asking for God to come back to us, put His holy presence in the temple, and Be'ezrat Hashem, Tisha B'Av should change to a day not fasting but feasting. And what more appropriate thing to say right after Tisha B'Av than to say, Uvikshu et Hashem אלו-הי-הם ואת David Malkam.